corporate world, that's we need to know. And if there are some doubts, we can clear in today's session. If there are some areas where we are thinking that should we go on this path or should we go on that path, Mr. Mushtaq is going to tell us that which path will lead us towards the success. And this will help you definitely to make your own goals, to make your own career pathway, which can lead you towards to be at the height of your career, the top ladder you can achieve. So I'll not waste much of your time. I would like to invite definitely today's learning speaker, Mr. Muhammad Mushtaq, FCMA. Over to you.
Thank you very much, Brother Kamar, for such a warm introduction. Ladies and gentlemen, good evening, good afternoon, wherever you are in the world, based on your time zone. And I'm also grateful that ICMAP, National CPD Committee, UAE Branch Council, and Mr. Freed, Chairman, UAE Branch Council, for providing me this opportunity to speak to our learned and our honorable members in UAE. As you know, that being an overseas members, there are so many challenges, there are so many opportunities, as well as you are facing a different type of competition. So naturally, you need a different types of mindset and skill set to be successful in this competition or in this market, especially in UAE. And also, you are doing a lot of hard work, basically, when you are competing with other accounting bodies members. So naturally, you are working at different levels, entry level, managerial levels, and CFO level, or as a practicing member. So you need a different types of skill set. So we're gonna cover in this session, one or almost session, all those aspects and required skill set, which are quite essential for accountant in current era. Before starting, I would like to just go through a few, or you can say, housekeeping rules. So at the end of this session, you will get number one slides or handouts. We can also, during the session or at the end of the session, we can also discuss all the questions of the participants. In addition to this, if there is any issue, IT department from ICMAP is with us, so we will resolve and we'll be back if there is any issue. And also on top of that, if you are getting one key message from this session, I think that will be a big success for myself, and I'll try to meet and exceed the expectation of all participants and our brother Kamar, who asked me to present some of the key learnings and best practices in the industry on this topic. So I would like to now start the session formally. As Brother Kamar said, that our today's topic is how CMA can be preferred choice in the corporate world. So obviously, it's a quite wide and quite extensive topic in a sense that scope is quite wide. So naturally, it will take some time, but some of the slides I will skim through, but in some areas I will try to spend some time so that you can get thorough and insight knowledge of those. Before starting, I would like to briefly introduce myself, who Kamar introduced already. Basically, currently I'm working as a consultant in UK as a portfolio CFO on behalf of Bismix Consultant, and my career, academic career as well as professional career, is across 3 different regions. I started in Pakistan, then I moved to UAE, and then after a couple of roles in UAE, then I moved to UK. And for last more than 11 years, I'm working in UK. Today, obviously, this topic is quite, as I mentioned, that this topic scope is quite wide. But broadly, I would like to cover and I would like to explore 4 key areas: who we are, what we do, and what we should do to become a preferred choice in the corporate world. And the last is what kind of knowledge, skill set, behaviors are required to accomplish this milestone. So during this whole process of this discussion or this presentation, I will try to cover these 4 areas. And at the end, I will leave 4 questions for you guys to explore your career and your overall profile and try to then bridge the skill gap wherever you are feeling those gaps are. So in order to achieve this objective, our agenda is quite straightforward. We will discuss slightly our management accountant role, because as a chartered management accountant, we are not just doing management accounting roles, we are progressing in our careers and we are doing other so many roles. For example, finance manager, financial controller, finance director, CFO, consultant, advisor, and practicing member. These are you can say, our whole profile of our profession, where being a management accountant, we are working. At the same time, there are some other accounting bodies, their members are also doing these things. So we will evaluate our competitors. We will see our technical and functional skills and also values and skills and other functional and soft skills required to perform these roles. And then at the end, briefly, I will go through resources and tools, but I will not spend too much time because those slides you can read in your later time and you can go through. And at the end, we will conclude with the way forward. So first of all, as a management accountant, who we are. As a management accountant, let me clear to you, our competency framework is, our domain is not audit and tax. So here we are basically providing quite a useful information based on our knowledge and expertise to management to take certain decisions. For example, decision, financial planning, analysis, control, appraisals, commercial finance, budget forecast, etc., etc. And also on top of that, being a member of IFEC and a management accountant, we observe professional code of ethics at CLHC. So broadly on left side, you can see this is our core domain: strategy, planning and performance, reporting and control, business acumen operation. We are doing business partnering role, and we are also keeping ourselves with all the technology and analytical skill set which are emerging in the market with the passage of time. So this is our core domain. So then naturally, then we have to upscale and reskill ourselves to be more competitive in the market. So I hope this slide is just setting a scene and giving us an answer who we are, what kind of skill set we need. Moving on to the next part is what we do. So as a management accountant, apart from our regular assignments, we are working as an advisor to the management. We monitor spend control and financial control. We formulate the strategies. We conduct internal audits. We analyze and report certain KPIs. We also explain the financial consequences of certain business decisions. For example, buy or make. For example, if you are in manufacturing concern, prepare budgets and forecasts. And last but not least, explain the impact of competitive landscape. Whether you are as a management accountant, finance manager, CFO, you are also externally benchmarking your organization yourself, that what kind of impact you're going to have. So this is our core area. But bear in mind, we are being a management accountant. We are not the only one who are doing all these things. There are other accounting bodies members that are also doing. So, and we need to find out how we can be more competitive, because you got loads of other competitors. For example, we need to find out where we are losing our share in terms of competition. So you can see in this, our market share, our other accounting bodies, they are also taking our share of you can say management accounting, and that those sort of 4 or 5 areas which we have discussed on the first slide. What are those accounting bodies? So we need to see there are loads of, whether it's ASCA, it's a CA, it's a whether these are Asian qualifications or Middle East in GCC market or in Western countries. There are loads of qualifications, management accountant and chartered accountant. They're also doing these jobs and these sort of roles. So in order to be more competitive, these IFEC members, what we need to do, we need to drill down and see how our competition look like. So if you look at the members base of the accounting bodies, for example, ACCA got more than 225 members. CMA got 113,000 members. ICAEW got 153. So this is their current base member, and every year you are seeing that approximately 25,000 members are emerging in the market. Similarly, they got hundreds of thousands of students. So your competition is not just with the existing members or management accountant, but also upcoming members, and their growth rate, you can see approximately 25,000. On top of that, loads of students. So moving on to the other main aspect that where we are working. We are being a management accountant, our core area is industry and commerce. So if you look at the CMA members where they are working, So one of the disclaimer I would like to give here, because I pick this data because it's for readily available, and as far as other accounting bodies are concerned, all accounting bodies are not sharing their data. So this is just a litmus test, or you can say, just I'm giving an idea how management accounting versus other accounting bodies are performing in the market. So you can see CMA members, it's just a fraction of the members they are working in the practice. So almost 75% members are working in the industry. Similarly, CMA, 60% students are working in the industry. So one thing is established that our presence is in the industry and in industry and commerce. Whereas other accounting bodies, if you look at SCCA, almost 40% their members are in practice, and IC and EW, they are almost 80% members are in practice versus industry and commerce. So that's the key difference. We will come later on and see how this fraction is playing part in terms of our skill set and our overall profile. So this is just a background which we will we'll discuss later on, and then how this is going to impact on different things. Now, this is another useful insight that in terms of age bracket, as a management accountant, where we are competing. So those people who are in the age bracket of 25 to 54, they are facing much tougher competition as compared to other age ranges. And within this range, 35 to 44, this is the age range where management accountant are competing with other accounting bodies relatively more. So if your career is in this age range, certainly then you need to upskill and reskill and be more competitive in the market. So this is just a background, where we have tried to establish how, as a management accountant, what is our position, where we are positioning ourselves. Moving on to the next slide. So after this competitor analysis, now we are trying to establish, if you would like to grow in our career, we are starting at entry level and then growing to managerial level and senior levels. For example, at entry level, you will be, for example, management accountant, commercial accountant, chief accountant, budget analyst, or financial planning analyst, or internal auditor maybe. And then you are growing to finance manager, commercial finance manager, financial controller, etc., internal audit manager. So you need certain skill set to grow in your career. Similarly, if you are further progressing in your career, for example, as a CFO, commercial director, finance director, or a non-executive director, or a corporate executive, so you need certain types of skill set, and those skill sets are technical, functional, digital, and so. So these skills are basically determining your growth in your career from entry to managerial and managerial to senior finance. And in case of this skill set is obviously different. When you are at entry level, you need different types of skill set. When you are managerial, you are at managerial level, you need different types of skill set. And similarly for other corporate executive. And your skill set is not having a skill set is not enough. Then you need to rate yourself where you are in terms of your skill set: average, good, or excellent. Whether those are technical, functional, digital, or soft. We will come on these skill set shortly, because this is just a preliminary, you can say, a scene setting for all those things. In short, we got this answer that our career growth is dependent on our skills, especially after qualifying and coming into the market. So as a finance manager or financial controller, you need certain types of skill set. For example, if you look at our role as a, Okay, as a if you look at finance manager or financial controller, our main domain is we work as a commentator, which is again, we are dealing with, say, historical data and reporting and making commentary on the numbers, scorekeeper, and then protector, and then business partner. So as a management accountant, finance manager, we got different dimensions of our roles, and we need those types of skill set to perform these roles. We need business skills, we need accounting skills, we need to be proactive and reactive in certain things. So when you are at managerial level, these skills are your, you can say, technical skills. At manager level, you are doing so many other things. which you are not basically, learning those things which are part of your role. As a manager, you have to manage the team. You have to manage the team, not only team, but conflict management. You have to also manage the and negotiate the different things. For example, contract, lease, are also first and foremost, when you are progressing in your career, you are negotiating your salary and benefits. So these, the main purpose of this slide is that being a finance manager, what are our technical skills? So we are just trying to establish what kind of skill set are required for this role when you are progressing from manager to management accountant to financial controller or finance manager. Then moving on to the next ladder, which is from CFO, from finance manager to CFO. So the primary difference is basically in terms of exposure, longer term or shorter term, pragmatic versus creative. So mindset, time frame, mission, focus, task, financial, and cash. So you can go through these slides in detail, and you can determine yourself that what kind of skill set are required from a finance manager versus CFO. Accordingly, then we can reposition ourselves and basically learn those skills so that we can be successful in our career. Broadly, there, the main difference is future is forward-looking, whereas financial controller and finance manager, they are mainly historical. They are dealing with historical data. But this is not a mandatory rule, or this is not something a precedent. In some organizations, especially if you're working in a small organization, you will be doing, to some extent, CFO role. So the purpose of this slide is that if we are aiming to target financial controller or CFO role, we need to see whether we have got these skills or not. But main thing in these two roles is your business and leadership skills, which you need to equip yourself so that you can be successful in that. And moving on to the CFO or finance director role, you must have, if you are working as a CFO or you are working with CFO, so you must have observed closely that the primary responsibility of CFO is to maximize the shareholder wealth, cash flow and funding, tax control, investor reporting, KPI development, and asset protection. For example, KPI, you can give example, for example, balance scorecard, and then capital structure, in terms of debt equity balancing and all that, and then capex planning, cost and profit compliance, and risk management, investment and exit planning. So these sort of broadly, CFOs, they are doing these things. But as per my understanding and based on my experience, this is just a fraction of your CFO role. When you are working as a CFO, this is just your operational part. So what is more than this that we're going to explore in our next slide. This is quite important, especially if you are working at a senior level role, or you are aiming to work as a senior manager or corporate finance. You're targeting the top position, for example, finance director or CFO. Because overall, CFO and finance director responsibility is to future-proof the business, and that person is responsible for the overall financial health of the business. Other than operational, what kind of responsibilities CFOs are normally carrying as a leader? Leadership and communication, sounding board to investors, restructuring and pivoting, driving culture, ownership of business plan. So if you look at this leader's role in our accounting qualifications, though we are studying certain management and certain strategic management type courses, but those are just theory. When you are practically you are working at in a certain corporate entity, you need to demonstrate these skills. Similarly, as a strategist, you are strategy and value addition, you are doing future proofing the business, innovation, merger and acquisition, growth opportunities, capital appraisals, funding, and exit planning. On the other side, as a guardian, you are complying with bank and lenders and reporting also, performance management, revisit KPIs and accurate systems, especially digital, and manage transition and change. And also on top of that, technology and risk management. So as a CFO, your role and your scope of work is much bigger than just your reporting numbers or financial side of the business. It is just classified in your operator segment, you can say. So as a CFO, if you are aiming in your niche near future, for this role in 5 years, 3 years time, then you should keep in your mind, these types of skill set, whether these are classified as soft skills, technical, functional skills, you should aim to gain these skill set. And moving on to the CMA as a consultant or advisor, I'll not spend too much time on this because obviously we have to cover loads of other aspects. As a consultant or advisor, you need a specific type of skill set. For example, transaction services, capital structuring, project appraisal, feasibility studies, and so on, so on. Digital transformation, IPO, and change management. As a consultant or as an advisor, your role is quite important. So you need to have all these skill set, technical skill set, as well as functional and soft skill set, because as a consultant you are circumventing so many aspects. Moving on to the last part of our CMA as a practicing member. Bear in mind, being a practicing member, your dimension and your focus is quite different. You are normally mainly there are three facets: your firm, your clients, and your regulator. So from firm perspectives, how to develop firm, how development in terms of setup, in terms of procedures, systems, your own goal, and your own compliance. Also on top of that, complying with your body, which is issuing you basically certificates of practice and all that. Similarly, on the other side, client, which is very important, and also not only from revenue point of view, but also in terms of growing your business. So if you got satisfied client, naturally you will grow business and give more value to the client. There are many aspects which you need to consider while working as a member in practice. And then last but not least is regulator. So when you are working for your own firm, you are doing three dimensions: your client, and you are doing compliance for your client, but at the same time there are certain statutory compliances we have to do. For example, in UAE, those members which are working in practice, so there are so many compliance. For example, ESR and other FTA and so many things are coming quite often. And those compliance, for example, anti-money laundering, counter financing, know your customer, etc. So these are quite mandatory all over the world, wherever you are. So as a management accountant, if we are aiming to explore this option, then we should have those skill sets which are required by a member to demonstrate on these roles. Okay, moving on to the next, that is, so far what we have discussed, we have evaluated our roles in different capacities. And in order to perform these roles, you need technical, functional, digital, and soft skills. So this is very, very important, you can say, now session from here onward, because now we are trying to establish what we need. So first of all, technical, functional, digital, and soft skills. What kind of these skill set are, and what these skill set are doing for us? These simply, if you want to be you want to engage yourself as an employee, so this will increase your employability. If you want to work as an entrepreneur or as a practicing member, so naturally this will help you. And bear in mind, digital skills are in the center. Those are really important in this current age. If briefly if we look at what are the technical skills are your abilities and knowledge to perform certain tasks. Functional skills are basically your practical experience, how you will do that. If we are studying theory in our qualifications, that ABC task we are doing, unless we have not done practically, we don't know what we are doing. So functional skills are your practical experience, so that you can do your job confidently, efficiently, and independently. Digital skills are your range of abilities to use digital devices, tools, systems, applications, and networks, etc. And soft skills, in short, are people skills, which are very important for a management accountant. And these soft skills, especially when you are growing in your career, plays a really good role in terms of your career progression. Because when you are working at a senior level, whether finance manager or finance director or CFO, you are naturally, you are managing a team of, 4, 5, 10, 20 people, and their expectation, their attitude, their behavior is different. So then your soft skills comes into play to manage those things, and how you socially and emotionally intelligent you are to obviously spot issues and then resolve then and there. So these skills we will go through now one by one. So first of all, you must have, being a management accountant, you must have seen that our ICMAP core values, there are 5 core values: competence, innovation, ethics, transparency, and professionalism. And every professional accounting body got 5 core code of ethics, professional code of ethics: integrity, objectivity, professional competence, and due care, and confidentiality and professional behavior. So the purpose of this slide is that if we are religiously following our core values, and we are, monitoring ourselves and positioning ourselves aligned with this code of ethics, we will be current, we will be up to date. For example, competence. So whether it's a digital, technical, functional competence is required, if we are on top of that, we will maintain that. Integrity. For example, how honest and in terms of upright our attitude we are. Objectivity, whether we are firm with our opinion or not, there is no biasness, etc. Similarly, confidentiality, whether you are as an employee or you are working as a, for example, as a consultant, we have to maintain certain confidentiality engagements with our clients. And last but not least is professional behavior. So professional behavior, why it is important? Because our conduct, whether in any technical or non-technical aspect, or any our behavior, if that is bringing disrepute or discredit to profession, so that is discouraged, and that is basically managed in this sort of code of ethics. So why this is very important? Because over the period you will, and you are hearing, every day that, that digital transformation is basically playing key part in our profession. But I think ethics will stay there, and if we are trying to be more competitive, we have to work on our core values. That these core values will help us to great extent to be more competitive and ahead of game from the other people. Because and this is the beauty of professional accounting bodies, that they are keeping their members quite connected. And this is, for example, this webinar is one of the sign and example that as a member, we are learning, continuous learning, and CPD activities are taking place. And these CPD activities are helping us to develop our technical skills. Moving on to the next part, which is again technical. So the purpose of this slide briefly is that being a management accountant, as we have seen on the first couple of slides, that what is our domain? Our domain is not audit or tax. So we are dealing with the data, but data is nothing unless it is turned into a meaningful information. And that even information is nothing unless we are getting some value out of it. So you must have heard a famous quote of Richard Branson, chairman, Virgin Group, basically, not Virgin Airline. He said, "Sales is vanity, EBITDA is sanity, and cash is reality." So that really clicked, that quote to me, and I have tried to incorporate here that data is vanity, information is sanity, and value is reality. So our couple of other learned speaker, I think recently, also did some webinars on digital summit and transformation and all that, especially our brother Asif Hafiz. So he's always quite, strongly advocating this aspect, that now data scientists and our engagement as a management accountant on these aspects is really strong day by day. So we are finding data in structured, unstructured, and semi-structured form. And there are variety of data, volume, and veracity and velocity. But ultimately, what kind of value we're going to generate? And in order to generate that value, we need certain types of skill set. So technical skill set from ethics point of view, from competence point of view, we have to maintain. But functional skills come from this side, where as a management accountant, if you see, we are looking at not only just backward, in terms of descriptive and diagnostic aspect, but also we are looking at data exploration, discovery, predictive analytics, and prescriptive analytics. In fact, now, the game is beyond this, where artificial intelligence and other things are also playing key part in terms of providing more insight, regular, and real-time information. So we need to ask ourselves whether we are ready as a management accountant, and we have got those functional skills. Technical skills will come from our values, our competence, and all that. But practical skills will come from this, where we have to maintain ourselves in today's competitive market and also look forward for the future. Moving on to the next slide, which is also giving us another quite interesting, you know, our it is resonating with our profession as a management accountant, because financial accounting is just a fraction of the whole finance function, where we are just describing and reporting numbers, whether at the end of the month or at the end of your quarter or year. So in management accounting, we are dealing with so many aspects. We have though discussed these types of analytics, and then where the current, our profession currently it is, and how it is going to, further revamp or reshape in the future, and especially due to artificial intelligence and cognitive sort of techniques and other things. So mainly, if you look at the basic thing is insight, for example, where financial accounting is just giving you, output in terms of reports. In diagnostic, you correlate that information or those numbers, and you are providing insight as a management accountant to the management that you should take these decisions. And predictive analytics, these are giving you a prediction that how we're going to do next week, next month, or next year, XYZ types of output. And the last is foresight. So as a management accountant, our journey and our engagements are much more than financial accounting. That's why we have to ask ourselves whether we have got those skill set or not. If not, I think this is absolutely right time to invest on those skill set so that we can stay ahead of the game. If you look at the, the prescriptive and cognitive and artificial intelligence, data science and data mining and all these things, you must have heard these terms. In fact, yesterday there was also, I think, a webinar by KBC on data science. So as a management accountant or as a finance manager, as a CFO, you are not required to get, master in that sort of skill set. This is just one of the skill set which we need to aid in our profile, because our core roles will remain there, but it will help us to perform our role in much more better way. Moving on to the next aspect, which is quite important, that is soft skills, because technical, functional, and digital skills, those all skills are dealing with our mind. But as a manager, as a CFO, you are dealing with the people's emotion, and you are dealing with the people, you can say, feelings. So here, your soft skills will give you help to demonstrate those skill set to manage the team and to manage your engagements with clients, or in whatsoever capacity you are. So there are some interesting studies. For example, ICAW, they have reported that accounting firms are putting really great amount of emphasis on communication skills. And a recent survey, you must have heard about this recruitment company name called Randstad Financial. So they did this research, and they said, how the employees, they are showing interest in certain skill set. And this survey, give us a quite good, insightful numbers regarding soft skills. For example, 76% employees, they are looking for strong soft skills from their potential employees. 48% job listings required excellent communication and listening skills. We'll come on these skills shortly. Then moving on to the other aspect, 44% employees looking for strong relationship skills. We'll come on that these skills as well, how these are important for you, especially if you are growing in your career. Then 33% roles require strong leadership skills. Naturally, when you are growing in your career, at the top there are less amount of roles. So that's why the requirement is less. Similarly, there are some other numbers. You can also read and go through these numbers when we will provide you slides at the end of this session. Moving on to the next slide, which is quite also giving us an important and interesting insight. McDonald did recently a study in UK, and this study was purely based on communication and teamwork. As you know, that McDonald is quite, its presence is all over the world, and especially in UK, where this brand is leading the QSR market, quick service restaurant market. So they did this research on communication and teamwork, and they've concluded that soft skills worth in UK is over 88 billion to the UK economy, and it could grow to 127 billion by 2025. And on top of that, further they concluded that up to 15% boost it is giving to the lifetime earnings of the individual who are basically polishing their communication and teamwork. And similarly, they have recommended that soft skills framework should be implemented across the board in school, colleges, universities, and employers and employees. On top of that, the final conclusion, which is really beautiful, that first role at entry levels are seen more important than developing your soft skills at university and business school. So I think the last point I would like to comment on that wherever we are starting our first role, that always playing a really important role in our career growth. If we have started in hospitality industry, if we have started, for example, in oil and gas, if we have started in banking, then that will determine our career progression. So that's why, and also on top of that, if you have worked, for example, at entry level role with someone who is polishing your skills, especially soft skills, so that you will carry for the rest of your whole corporate career, all those soft skills which you are learning, especially at early stage of your career. Then this is quite important, and just summarizing everything, in one slide. On one side, you got your growth. On the other side, you got your skill set. So first one, when you are starting your career at entry level, you just see the black and white. Why I intentionally choose this color, because when newborn baby, is trying to open eyes. So newborn babies, I'm sure you must have an idea that they just see black and white. They don't recognize the other colors for 6 months. And then after 6 months, they see the green and red color. And then after 1 year, the whole, recognition to the colors, those senses are fully complete. So when we are starting at our career at the early stage, at entry level, so we have, for example, an aim, goal, qualification, technical skill, and we know our industry and sector. But we don't know other skills. For example, how to, interact with the internal, external stakeholders. And technical skills, naturally, those are developed. So at early stage, over the period, we are developing different types of skill set. For example, when we are slightly moving in our career, we as an accountant or management accountant, we should have analytical, planning, budgeting, time management, digital skills, and team player, and also quick learner. So these sort of skills are required if really we want to increase our skill set. If you are slightly moving to the next role, for example, assistant manager or manager in communication, teamwork. I'm not going into that detail because you can go through, but communication is not just listening, writing, reading, and speaking. Communication is more than that. When you are at a particular role, naturally, you have to demonstrate, for example, negotiations, challenging other people, influencing, listening effectively, and then accordingly you can manage. And also on top of that, writing, because if, for example, you are talking to suppliers or bank or other stakeholders and you are not speaking to them, if you are writing, then naturally you should be in a position to communicate your effective and efficient message. So that's also important. Similarly, team, each and every skill set requires thorough discussions. I'm not going in that detail. I will conclude with the last bit, which is if you are at a CFO or finance director, so your skill set are completely different. Actually, you will have your technical, functional, and digital skills. But I think more important is your soft skills, which are in terms of leadership and strategy and driving culture and all that, and creativity. I think on first couple of slides when we were benchmarking CFO and finance director and finance manager role, if you correlate this slide with that, then you will understand that why this is very important. Because I'm quite mindful of time, so I am moving a little now ahead. So as far as soft skills are concerned, soft skills, it's all about your emotional intelligence. It's about your emotions, and technical, functional, digital skills. You can say that is related to your IQ. So EQ versus IQ. IQ is intelligent quotient. It's a measure of a person relative intelligence, and EQ is basically your emotional quotient, is ability to identify and manage your emotions and others and emotions of others. Simply, if you are particularly you are working at a senior level, for example, as a finance manager, finance director, or as a practicing member, then it is equally important for you to have your soft skills, especially from this, especially from this side. And we are discussing what kind of those soft skills are. You must have heard this a famous quote that hired for IQ and fired for EQ. Hired for IQ, if somebody is really intelligent, technically strong, but lacking the soft skills, that person won't survive in that particular role, whether it's a financial controller or senior role. So one of the most challenging tasks on this plan is obviously to deal with the people. For example, you are giving feedback to your staff if you have reviewed their performance, interviewing candidates and giving feedback, especially negative feedback that ABC person didn't qualify or is not successful, making everyone happy around you. For example, you are working in finance, ops, marketing, operation, and other department. You are dealing with them, especially, for example, if you are negotiating on budgets. It's not possible to keep happy everyone. Putting your ideas across and getting people on board. Similarly, imagine dealing with the upset customers, review meeting with your line manager, dealing with your peers, conflict management within the company or within the department. So these sort of aspects, which are really important for especially senior manager. And Dale, this is a famous writer, USA writer. He's mentioned that when dealing with the people, remember you are not dealing with the creator of logic, but creator of emotions. So simply, IQ will give you just technical aspect, and EQ will give you soft skill aspects, which is really important, especially if you are growing in your career. And these skills are really important, whether you are, brushing and upskilling yourself and polishing your skills through training, through webinar, or whatever possible options are. So we need to collectively work on that. Then moving on to the last bit of this emotional intelligence. Emotional intelligence, you must have heard this. This is quite famous topic. But in short, if I give you a brief idea, uh, there are four aspects: self-awareness and self-management, social awareness and social management. So these are the four aspects which are well interconnected. And self-awareness is what I know in terms of technical functional skills. So that is one aspect. But here, that is more about your emotions, your reactions, your in terms of your attitude, behavior. So knowing himself or herself, that is important. And then self-management. So if we know that, for example, my reaction to one particular thing is really awkward, so how I have to manage that that sort of action or behavior. Similarly, socially, when you are dealing with other people at workplace or with your client, so we need to understand them and their reaction, and then also uh, try to mold our response accordingly. and and then the last bit is managing that. So this is quite famous, yeah, obviously, theory, or you can say a topic which is widely discussed whenever the any type of training is taking place. But this came only like 40 years ago, and I think the famous book on this emotional intelligence was written by Daniel in 1995. But our Islamic history got so many references. For example, great Sufi poet Maulana Jalaluddin Rahmatullah alayh, he mentioned about self-awareness and self-discovery in his famous book Al-Masnavi Sharif 800 years ago. And he didn't talk just about emotional intelligence. He talked about mind intelligence, body intelligence. We talked about spiritual intelligence. We talked about time intelligence, resources intelligence. So, in fact, emotional intelligence is just one fraction of that. And one of his famous quote, which is quite close to my heart, he mentioned that yesterday I was very clever, so I wanted to change the world. Today I'm wise, I am changing myself. So changing in myself, though there is a spiritual element of, uh, is this quote in this, but we can apply and we can get lesson from this in terms of changing ourselves, repositioning ourselves in the market, in the corporate world, in our engagements, whether as a practicing member or as an entrepreneur, and we can apply that. So with this a soft skill side, I'm concluding, and then moving on to the next is that is resources and tools. I got 10 minutes, so I'm aiming to conclude within 10 minutes. So resources and tools, look, whether you have got technical, functional, digital, or the final one is soft. So that, we cannot bridge that gap overnight. It will take time. It might take, few months, and especially in this COVID situation where, everybody is working, for example, possibly working from home. So we go more time, we can attend webinar, and we can, we can upskill ourselves through many resources. So for this, I have summarized few things. For example, financial technology landscape is continuously growing and evolving, and finance ecosystem where so many suppliers are providing so many different options. So for example, here you can see if you are working as a, for example, management accountant, or just at another entry level as a analyst. So you got some resources, and in your particular that role, if you, for example, you want to develop your skills in FPA, so you got the resources. I'm sure so many resources you must have already seen, but if you would like to further Google and explore, you can do that. Then moving on to the next, if you look at finance tech and stack aspect, especially FPA, accounting and reporting, there are many good options. So what kind of role these skills, technical and functional skills, will play in your career? There are so many roles. When those roles are advertised, it is clearly mentioned that if somebody can, for example, work on Tableau, Power BI, NetSuite, etc. So these sort of skill sets are quite common, and these are widely, obviously, required by the potential employer. So if you are aiming to grow in your career, especially at entry and managerial level, then probably you need more these skills. Whereas if you are growing in your career for the senior positions, then I think there is a balance between soft and technical skills. Don't get me wrong, you need also technical skills, but at the same time, you need a functional skill level. This is another recently in February, Gartner Business Intelligence tools up is this metrics game. So you can see here, Tableau, Click, and Microsoft. These are market leaders, and other they are challenger, or you can say they are following them, and then there are some visionary and other. So and I think this was also shared by our brother Asif Hafiz in our WhatsApp group. So the purpose of this mentioning it here is that if we want to develop our skills and stay ahead of the game, then we need to invest on our skills gradually, and we need to embrace those changes and those sort of technical and functional and digital skills which are in the market or available. Personally, I'm heavily nowadays particularly using this micro strategy, and it is amazing tool which gives you not only visual, but so many other aspects where you can literally drill down data on daily, weekly, hourly, in fact, at 15 minutes interval, and you can predict and you can reposition and you can change your next week, this week, over the weekend. Doesn't matter, whatever scenario you would like. So these sort of tools are giving you options to inform your management and to give a timely input. And moving on to the last couple of things, resources and tools, especially if you are aiming to, to attain senior level roles. So these are two very famous books. And personally, I've got this one, for example, a couple of, though I've got emotional intelligence in short form, but this one, this technique by famous CEO of Young Group, taking people with you. And this book is basically really good for those people who are aiming finance director or CFO's role. And he did mention his famous quote that show me a good leader, I'll show you a good business. So you can imagine why these skill sets are important for a leader to refine their soft skills and accelerate whether business growth or career growth. So again, you can Google and you can find these books if you got interest. And moving on to the last bit, if you are with me right from the beginning, we have discussed at the beginning 4 questions: who we are, what we do, what we want from our career, and what kind of skill set we have. So those questions at that time, I put in front of myself, in front of you, that we would like to explore. And what I did, I evaluated our role as a management accountant, as a financial controller, as a finance director, as a practicing member, consultant. And then I have gone through quickly our technical, soft, functional, digital skills. And if we want to bridge that gap, we need to do that. So here, we need to ask ourselves, I myself, you can ask yourself, what do you want from your career, from your work? Or you want to accelerate your career, in short, medium, and long term? Then second question is, if yes, what do you want, what do you have to offer right now in terms of your experience, your knowledge, your skills, your achievement, and personal traits? So these 2 questions will answer to some extent that what you need to do. Your action will drive, by these 2 questions. And then you will basically try to pull your resources, and you will, you will establish that what are you willing to do to achieve these objectives, etc. And then, the last but not least, that is, what you are not willing to do in your career or work. And those things are quite possible. For example, if you are in in that market, let's see, let's say UAE, where the members, they got different commitment, whether social, family, or work. So naturally there will be some limitation that they won't be able to do everything what they want. However, this sort of analysis will help us to establish what are our key strengths, what are our key opportunities for us, and how we need to achieve that. Last but not least, I would like to say my key message that you all have a tremendous amount of potential. You just need to ignite that, explore your potential, test your bandwidth, so that you can flourish in your career. With this, I would like to also quote a couple of pearls of wisdom by Maulana Room. He said, lovely days don't come to you, you should walk to them. So look, yeah, this great Sufi poet mentioned, and this is his lovely quote, which is quite close to my heart, 800 years ago, that he is basically propelling us. We have to do. And another similar quote, he said, it is your road and yours alone. Others may walk it with you, but no one can walk it for you. So my brother Kamar, Mr. Freed, or other branch members, they can do everything. They are at the moment, I think, CMA, Toastmaster Club. They are also giving a lot of time to the branch. They are arranging these webinars. They are doing everything. Basically, just motivate us and encourage us to reposition ourselves. And I can understand, being a overseas member in the UAE market, is it not easy? I've worked in UAE for almost 2 to 3 years, so I know that what kind of competition you are facing over there, and how you can upskill yourself and reposition yourself to be more competitive in their market. So in order to to do that and stay ahead of game, we need obviously a revamping of everything, and we need to reposition ourselves. Last but not least, my key message is, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala also said, that man can have nothing but what he strives for. So I think this is a really powerful message, tremendous amount of energy in this. If you just focus on the Surah Najm, it's a chapter number 53, verse number 39. Even these numbers got tremendous amount of coding in this. So I don't want to go in that detail, but this gives us a really powerful message that if you want to achieve something, you have to strive for that. And especially if you are in overseas market, your challenges are much bigger and your opportunities are also different. Your competition is different. So naturally, then your effort is, more as compared to domestic members. So with this, I would like to conclude my presentation. I hope I've completed within the acceptable time. Acceptable time. If not, I'm really sorry for that. And with this, I think we can also discuss some question and answer. So thank you very much for staying with us. And I'm available. This is my contact details. Happy to discuss if something you would like to discuss privately or through email. I'm more than happy. Over to you, Brother Kamar.
Well, thank you very much, Mr. Muhammad Mushtaq. It was quite an insightful information. And first and foremost, please accept our thank you on behalf of UAE Branch Council, on behalf of ICMA Pakistan, for sparing your precious time. And as you mentioned, life in overseas is not as easy. So sparing time is also quite difficult. Thank you very much for sparing your time, valuable time for the members. And certainly it will help to a lot of members to develop their career, to understand their career, to understand their pathways, that how they can lead towards the success. And today you have set a path for us. You have given us a clear direction. And I hope this will be very beneficial for most of us, for especially for the young lads. Those are aspiring for the greater opportunities. And definitely there was a lot of knowledge, IQ versus EQ. And the education, there is no end to education. It is not about attending one course. It is not attending about one workshop, one seminar, one reading one book. It is a lifelong process, and we have to learn since the time we born till the time we die. We need to learn continuously, and that's the way forward. That's the way how we can upskill ourselves, how we can keep ourselves ready to compete in the market. Well, Mr. Bhai, we have certain questions which I would like to ask from you.
Sure.
The first question is, what is your advice for newly qualified management accountant and how they can become competitive in the corporate world? I know you have answered almost this question very profoundly in your presentation, but a brief
absolutely, no problem. I think we got still 15 minutes, so I'm more than happy to answer all the questions. Yes, very good question. I think especially for those individuals who are at their early stage of career. Look, I think personally, my experience is that when you are newly qualified, you need to spend a couple of years, 2 to 3 years, to upskill yourself. Try to work in that organization where you are learning maximum. So, in short, I must say that when you are at that early stage of your career, focus on learning rather than earning. I think this one sentence got the answer.
Thank you very much, sir. Another question is from Mr. Muhammad Ali. He asked, sir, I have faced one criticism that CMA professionals are very much focused on cost, and thus they don't focus on sales and marketing function. Even they limitize that department budget, roles and functions, and ultimately not result in good business leader. How would you respond to this question?
Yeah, really good question. I think Muhammad Ali, brother. Look, being a cost accountant and management accountant, I think you need to look at holistically. So there are 3-4 questions basically within this. So first of all, if he has faced as a cost and management accountant this sort of feedback and this sort of criticism, that could be due to the culture of data organizations, that they are not really valuing the skill set. As far as the cost and sales is concerned, I think both are really important. However, if you look at the P&L model, you got, for example, you are doing 20% EBITDA or 10% EBITDA, and that means you got say 80 to 90% your cost. So if that company culture is not that good, that you are not managing your cost effectively, doesn't matter you are doing 120% or 30% sales revenue, you're gonna be in loss. So cost management is really important. At the same time, sales. I'll give you another example. For example, and I'm sure all the participants, they are quite learned and they know the contribution margin approach and how to calculate the break even. So if, for example, we are earning 20% EBITDA, 15% EBITDA, and we are not managing our cost, and we are making, say, loss of 500 X amount, in order to cover that gap, how much amount of sales you have to generate, you know better. You just need to apply break even and contribution margin approach, and you can calculate it. So it is really hard to grow the top line, especially sales. Don't get me wrong, that is equally important. At the same time, cost management is also important. That's why I mentioned, I think one of the slide where the CFO role was described, cost and profit. So we have to balance, and last but not least, I think also mentioned in one of the technical slide that your sale is your sanity, vanity, your EBITDA is vanity, and cash flow is reality. So it doesn't matter whatever amount of sales you are doing. If business is not generating profit, if business is generating profit but not cash, then whole exercise, sales and marketing, and other department is useless. And normally, sales and marketing department, they just focus on sales because their bonuses are linked to that, their incentives are linked to that. So naturally, it is our responsibility as a management accountant, as a finance manager or director, to establish a fine balance between cost and revenue management so that we can achieve collective objectives. And last is, he's talking about ultimately not result a good business leader. So that's a different topic. I think we can discuss that offline if Brother Ali, you would like to discuss with me, because if I will talk on this, I can talk for next 15 minutes on this aspect, but I think then we won't be able to cover the other questions.
Well, thank you, Mushtaq bhai. I would just like to add over here, as Mushtaq bhai said, that now we need to learn the skills of data analysis, especially the descriptive and this kind of analysis. When you learn these skills and you apply these skills in your core area, even you are doing costing, then you will be helping management to increase their sales also. Because when you are providing them the analysis about their sales strategy, about like what is describing to diagnostic to prescriptive, then you are actually helping them that how they can increase their sale, how they can blend their sale, how they can make different products those are sellable. So ultimately you will be involved in sales and marketing as well. And this was just from my side, a little bit add. Another question, Mushtaq bhai, from Muhammad Ali again. I will just rephrase. Do other competitors, or our other competitors, do they have edge on the CMS being finance leaders? What is your point of view in this regard?
Okay, my point of view is being a CMA member, being ICMA member, I think, look, it's not about the edge of one accounting body over another. Each accounting body got its own domain. CMA got a different domain. If you talk to CMA council and CMA senior management, they will tell you that our domain is different. ACCA, their domain is different. So if, I think the answer of this question is in first slide, where we have defined our domain and where we can add value. As far as tax and your audit is concerned, that's just a fraction of that. If you are working as a consultant, there are loads of other opportunities you can do. And as a management accountant, I think we should not overestimate as well as underestimate ourselves. We should believe in our skill set and we should perform, with that sort of positive mindset. ACCA members, they are equally, respectable members. Our CMA members, our CAs. We should believe in our own strength, I think, and then naturally, if we have that sort of mindset, we will be competitive and challenging those accounting bodies as well as members of those bodies.
Well, thank you very much. It's not about the qualification. These are not about the bodies, those have edge over one another. It is about the individuals. Individuals, they have edge over each other because of their skill set, because of their learning, because of their aptitude, their attitude, their emotional quotient. So this is body or the qualification has nothing to do. Qasim Ali Shah, he says it's not about your profession, it is about your passion. How much passionate you are. So if you're then there are some other questions, some are not relevant, which I'll not go through. What are the specific challenges nowadays at senior level, CFO and finance director role from technology point of view. What technologies are being used for reporting and planning at that level? Asked by Vilayat Malik.
Yeah, look, this is, I think, really an interesting as well as really important question, especially for those individuals who are working at senior level. Uh, First and foremost is, I think, CFO and FD, what is their engagement? We need to understand, in terms of planning and reporting, and why we need to do that. Because, at this level, they have to take decisions quite regularly, almost on daily basis, especially in UK. I think 2 days ago, I was, on a CMA seminar and did some research, and they said that CFOs in UK are forecasting their cash flow almost on daily basis and weekly basis, whereas in the past, some companies were doing fortnightly and monthly. So I think from my point of view, and based on my experience from technology point of view, well, it depends what type of industry is, and then based on that you can decide the tools. For example, for reporting point of view and visualization, and in terms of classification and drilling down the data, Power BI is one of the tool which is really helpful to timely report and classify and give the timely and insightful information to the management. Yes, Power BI is just output, but on back of that, Power Query and so many other things which are required to be aligned with that. On top of that, in terms of planning, I think there are so many different softwares and different options. For example, for shipping industry, there is a different type of planning aspect. For QSR market, quick service restaurant, hospitality, there are different types of tools. So those tools are basically acquired and implemented based on their requirement. So I cannot give any particular, but there are loads of tools. And based on the industry requirement, normally those tools are acquired or developed internally to forecast. For example, I'll give you one example of hospitality industry. MicroStrategy is, as we have seen in Gartner model, this got an option to forecast your sales on daily basis. In fact, not only on daily, 4 to 6 times you can forecast your sales based on the trends during the day, and also on weekly basis. And there are so many other reports available to extract from that to see whether the forecast is accurate or not. And that tool is really helpful. So I think that is one of the aspects. Second is in terms of challenges. I think it's not just technology. Technology is just one thing, but as a senior manager, you are facing different types of challenges. For example, in terms of team management, culture management, motivation. So these sort of at senior level, you are finding so many other aspects, and technology is just one of them.
Well, thank you, sir. There is another question. It is related to ACCA and CMA. I won't go through this one. The next question is, if we don't find an organization or good mentor, it becomes really difficult to upskill. In this situation, what should we do? Any guidance would be really appreciated.
Look, I think that's not the. I think that's down to our attitude. Not necessary that you will learn in an organization. So many people I have seen, they have joined the organization, their own attitude was not right, and as a result, they didn't learn anything. There are so many people who their mindset is just 9 to 5. They will come and go, and they will do just their own job. They are working in silos, so they will not learn. And as far as good mentor, yes, that's really good aspect. It depends, how much you want to extract from that mentor. Again, if there is a good mentor on the other side, but on my side, if I'm not that, equipped enough to acquire that knowledge from that mentor, that will be, waste of that resource. And then last one, he's saying that it is because really difficult to upskill in this situation, what we should do. I think in this era of technology and internet, there are so many resources. Whether on Google, YouTube, and all that, so we can get and learn from those resources. However, there is no point if we are learning so many and watching hundreds of videos and we are not doing practice. It is same thing like in UAE, you are taking, you are taking your test, on computer driving test, and you are not taking actually practical test. Uh, so that's, I think that will be the case. So main thing is practically wherever you are working, it depends how much you are implementing those skill set and those um, learnings which you have acquired.
Well, thank you, Mr. Akbai. In this age, in this environment, in this era, you don't need physical mentors. This mobile phone is your mentor. It has everything because of internet, because of your access to the technology, like Coursera, like this one, LinkedIn courses. There are certain platforms where you can learn Udemy, even the YouTube, you can learn a lot of things.
Exactly,
So,
exactly,
so
exactly,
if you want to find, even you can find the God as well. So it
exactly,
is up to
exactly,
you what you want to
exactly.
find. Last question, Mr. Agbi. In public sector organizations, professional accountants are reporting to non-professional executives. How can the professional move up the ladder in the traditional scenario, and what skills are required? Asked by Imtiaz Ali.
Okay, that's another great question. Look, in public sector organization, I have briefly worked for a couple of years, and then I realized that's not the right fit for me. So I moved the chartered accountant firm. So number one, based on my personal experience, when you are working in public sector organization, movement to up the ladder is not just based on your qualification, your experience, and your number of years with that organization. It depends on the policy of the organization. Number one. Number two, it depends that if there is any opportunity, if there is any role or not of somebody getting retired. So in public sector, you know that things are working in different. Number one. Number two, if you are dealing with non-executive, non-professional people, or I think if I'm correctly understanding, Imtiaz mean that if you are working with non-account, so I think we need to bridge their skill gap. For example, I worked in a semi-government entity, and uh, our seniors, our directors, they came from army background. So it was difficult for us to uh, convey our message to them, especially from financial point of view. So what we did, we had quite regular session with them, to upskill them how to interpret the financial information, and then make timely decision. Because if your line manager or your executive is not skillful, then that will be detrimental, and that will ultimately slow down the decision process, and as a result, organization will suffer. And last question is, what skills are required? I think soft skills, because in this scenario, if you will talk to them technically, they will not understand. Functionally, they will have a limited ability. Digital, again, they will have an issue. So soft skills will play a key role to convey your message and get the desired result.
Thank you very much, Mr. Agwai. Thank you for your valuable time. I am really thankful to you. I'm thankful to National Council ICMA Pakistan, the management of ICMA Pakistan, the IT department for all providing all the logistics support. And I'm also at the same time thankful to all the participants who participated in this program and made it successful. Regarding Mushtaq Bhai's saying about the EQ and IQ, when you passed ICMA exam, they it was your IQ. You build your IQ. Now your IQ is fine, but for EQ, what is there? CPD is there. Our CPD committee is helping you to build up your EQ. So if you want to build up your EQ, keep joining our programs, because we are bringing very valuable programs for your development and for your success. Thank you very much. Thank you very much. Have a great time. Have a great night.
Thank you, Kamal. Thank you, ICMAP. Thank you, UAE Branch Council, and all the members of UAE Branch Council. It was lovely to be with you, and I'm sure members find it good.
Thumbs ups are great program.
Thank you. Thank you.